What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. This is the show that keeps you up to date with everything that is happening in both Gaelic football and hurling. Of course, first of all, if you are new around here, hit that subscribe button on this channel. We cover everything GAA related, football, hurling, absolutely everything. And of course, we'll be making another video in the coming days talking about this weekend's hurling action in both Munster and Leinster. But of course, first of all, we are here today to discuss some big games across the Ulster Championship, the Leinster Championship, and we'll also be discussing the big game in Munster in Connacht, should I say, between Mayo and Roscommon. But of course, first of all, let's talk about the Ulster Championship. Tyrone are taking on Antrim at the Gaelic grounds. This should be, or at the Athletic grounds, I should say, this should be a very comfortable win for Tyrone. Antrim were very poor in Division 4. They finished down near the bottom, and they're probably one of the weaker counties across all of the provincial championships, and certainly probably the weakest team in Ulster, in my opinion. So, you would very much expect Tyrone to win this game very, very comfortably. They weren't amazing against Derry, but they certainly did enough. The likes of Cathal McShane, I thought, was very impressive in that game. And of course, players like Matty Donnelly, Darren McCurry as well. So you would expect Tyrone to win this game very comfortably. But one thing I have noticed from watching Tyrone in the past couple of years is that don't beat the lesser sides like the way the Dubs and Kerry do. I say Kerry in some respects because Kerry, obviously, the Munster Championship is extremely weak, so maybe we won't give that example, but certainly for Tyrone's standards, we know they are far, far better than the likes of Antrim and, to a lesser extent, Derry. But for some reason, they don't beat these teams as comfortably as they should do. So I would expect them to win this game by 7 or 8 points, but I wouldn't... I would expect, in my opinion, I feel like Tyrone should win this a lot more comfortably and win by, 10 to 15 points. But I do see them winning the game in the end quite comfortably. The other game, of course, the team Tyrone will be playing in the Ulster semi-final, provided they win, will be either Donegal or Fermanagh. And yeah, guys, this should be another very intriguing battle between these two. Of course, it was Fermanagh who got the better of Donegal in their league meeting earlier in the year. But of course, let's not forget that these two met each other in the Ulster final last year as well, where Fermanagh were beaten by Donegal. Big chance now for either of these two counties to potentially get to an Ulster final maybe. Fermanagh, of course, you have to look at the job that Rory O'Gallagher has done. An incredible job getting his side to an Ulster final last year, and of course getting them promotions as well, promotion from Division 3, very close to getting promotion from Division 2 as well. Of course, for Donegal, you will be looking at the hugely experienced Michael Murphy, players like Ryan McHugh, who was outstanding in the championship last year. And of course, they did pull through in the end, getting promoted from Division 2 and of course winning the Division 2 title as well. So, one thing I have seen throughout this championship campaign so far is that a lot of the underdogs have caused a lot of surprises so far in the championship. We've seen it with Offaly giving a huge game to Meath. Wicklow put it up heavily against Tyrone or against Wick or Kildare. And of course, we've seen Limerick outclassing Tipperary. So very interesting to see what could happen throughout some of these matches. But I've got a sneaky feeling about Fermanagh. I've got a sneaky feeling their defensive style, their defensive tactics will overwhelm Donegal. Donegal might not be as prepared as what they should be. And so I've got a sneaky feeling that Fermanagh will just about edge this one by a point. But of course, I could be wrong on that. But that is what I am going to go with. Going into the Leinster Championship, 4 games to talk about. Let's first of all talk about Meath against Carlow. Meath were quite poor, of course, in their game against Offaly. They didn't get going. They poor kickouts. They just weren't up for it whatsoever, in my opinion. You'll be expecting a lot more from Meath in this game. The likes of Ben Brennan, Michael Newman. I'm expecting to see more from them. Barry Dardis, of course, as well. I'll be expecting to see him control the game a lot more because he was quite poor against Offaly in terms of possession. Carlow, on the other hand, look, listen, they will in a similar way as to what I was saying about Fermanagh, Carlow will do this quite similarly as well. They will be defensive, they will sit back, and they will make it very, very difficult for this Meath side. And if Meath play with that same level against Offaly than they did in this game against Carlow, I think Meath will lose. I really do, but I don't see that happening, though. To be perfectly honest, I see Meath coming out a lot more. They got that poor game out of their system, and I think they will, in my opinion, go for it a lot more and play a lot more of the football we've seen them play throughout that league campaign. So yeah, I expect Meath to get the job done. I think it'll be low scoring, but I think they will just about edge it by 2 or 3 points. One of the other games, Westmeath taking on Laois. This should be very interesting as well, of course, because these two played each other in the Division 3 final. We've seen a fantastic performance from Westmeath in that game, the likes of Luke Loughlin, Ger Heslin, and of course Bodu Saya, the defender with Westmeath. Very good player, very good defensive player. It'll be very interesting to see how he gets on in this year's championship as well. But of course, Laois, they didn't play as well as they could have in that game, and I'd expect them to come out a lot more in this one. They will probably play the long ball game to the likes of Donny Kingston, and try play it on to the likes of Ross Munley and Gareth Dillon, and of course Sean Kingston as well. So this will be a very interesting game. In terms of my prediction, I really can't choose between the two. If it could go to extra time, but I'm just going to say Laois just about edge it, but it could really go either way in my opinion. Another one, a very interesting game, Longford taking on Kildare. I am very excited to see how Longford do in the championship this year, because of course we've seen what they did at club level. They'll have a lot more of their players back and ready for this game against Kildare. And Kildare didn't have a great league campaign, in my opinion. I expected them to do a lot more. We know Kildare have the quality, but of course they just don't show it enough. They were poor against Wicklow, and there could be a shock here. There really could. It wouldn't surprise me if Longford won this game. I'll be expecting more from Kildare, but I will, in terms of this game, I'm going to say Kildare edge it, but it would not surprise me in the least if there was a victory, of course, for Longford. The other game, of course, sees my team Dublin taking on Louth. The Dubs, of course, we didn't have the best league campaign, did we? Of course, but look, listen, we can't win it every year, and there will become times when some of the other counties will start to catch up. But I would still fully expect Dublin to win this Leinster Championship quite comfortably. Has the gap closed between the likes of Meath, Kildare and Dublin? Maybe that's a conversation for another day. But in terms of this game, Dublin should win quite comfortably. Of course, there is a general consensus sometimes that when Dublin come outside Croke Park, that gives the opposition a huge chance. And there is some elements to that is true. But let's not forget, Louth aren't playing at home either. This is in Portlaoise. So we will see what happens, but I would expect Dublin to win quite comfortably. Expect to see a very strong campaign this year from Cormac Costello. Expect him to play a lot more from the start rather than coming off the bench. We'll be interested to see some of the new players that gets introduced into the Dublin framework this year as well. So should be very interesting, but I do expect Dublin to see off Louth quite comfortably by, I would say, 5 to 10 points in Portlaoise, of course. And then, of course, huge game between Mayo and Roscommon. Mayo haven't reached a Connacht final since 2015. Roscommon are looking to make their 4th consecutive Connacht final. In the time that Mayo have missed out on reaching a Connacht final, it has been Roscommon that have reached it every year, winning it once, of course, 2 years ago against Galway. So yeah, very excited to see how Roscommon do in this game against Mayo. They looked very good, Roscommon, in their match against Leitrim. I thought they'd done very well. There was a potential for an upset there, and Roscommon just completely wiped the floor with it. and won very, very comfortably and dominated that game. Of course, with Mayo, be very interested to see now how they do. Of course, having won the National League, but this is where it matters now. You know, the Connacht Championship. This is where Mayo have struggled a lot in recent years. And if Mayo lose to Roscommon, you'll feel like all that hard work that has been done so far this year has very much been for nothing. Be interested to see how Matthew Ruan does in his first championship campaign with Mayo. How much can he lead this Mayo side? And of course, some of the more experienced heads, the likes of Aidan O'Shea, Dermot O'Connor, and these kind of guys as well. So yeah, should be a very interesting game. And I would, in my opinion, expect the game to be very entertaining. Both teams really going for it. When they played each other in the league, it was a very disappointing game, but it was the first game of the season. So yeah, looking at it, I think it'll be very interesting, high score, and hopefully maybe one of the games of the year so far. But we will see what happens. I expect Mayo to just about get the job done by 2 or 3 points. But yeah, this could be very, very close indeed. So yeah, guys, that has been my preview for some of this weekend's football action. Of course, I will be doing a preview as well for some of this weekend's games in hurling as well. So yeah, guys, my name has been Aaron, and I will chat to you all next time.